For the Chinese people, the dragon is far more than just a creature. It is a spiritual totem engraved into the very marrow of our bones. A cultural resonance spanning thousands of years, it is majestic, auspicious, and even sacredly untouchable. But have you ever wondered if this shadow that has supported Chinese civilization for millennia is not merely the romantic imagination of our ancestors, but a biological entity that truly existed in our physical world? Forget the golden tapestries for a moment. Today, we are putting this god on the operating table. Ancient texts describe the dragon through the 9 resemblances. But modern biology suggests this wasn't random folklore. It was a witness's report of an evolutionary miracle. Eyes like a rabbit. In biological terms, this refers to a protruding ocular structure. Rabbits possess a nearly 360-degree panoramic view with high sensitivity to movement. For a high-altitude predator like the dragon, this allows for a global monitoring mode, tracking heat signatures through thick cloud cover. Ears like an ox. Cattle can perceive ultra-low-frequency infrasound as low as 16 Hz. This gave the dragon a natural early warning system, sensing tectonic shifts or geomagnetic storms hundreds of miles away. Long before they reach the ears of a human, it is not just a totem, it looks like an ultimate evolutionary answer. But even the ultimate answer can have a bad day. In the summer of 1934, this biological masterpiece manifested itself in the mortal world in the most tragic way possible. Summer, 1934. Yingkou, Liaoning Province. An unprecedented torrential rain washed the sky for over 40 consecutive days. When the rain finally eased, local villagers stumbled upon a scene that ripped open the fabric of reality. According to the serialized records of the Shengjing Daily, the creature was about 10 meters long, covered in massive scales, with 2 branching horns. But the most haunting detail was the sound. Witnesses claimed it emitted a low, mournful cry similar to a bellowing ox, but with a metallic vibration that rattled the ribs of everyone nearby. From a bioacoustic perspective, this wasn't a vocal cord sound. It was likely the resonance of a massive swim bladder under sudden atmospheric pressure changes. As the creature lost altitude and crashed into the high-pressure environment of the marshlands, its internal buoyancy organs began to collapse, creating a tragic, low-frequency hum. In the days following its fall, the air was filled with an intense, corrosive stench. This wasn't the smell of rotting meat. It was a large-scale chemical leak of high-concentration ammonia and hydrogen. These gases were the primary fuel for the dragon's buoyancy. The core of this precision instrument finally stopped that summer, leaving behind a massive skeleton that drew monks to chant and thousands to witness. If myth had a corpse, this was it. But the real question is, if it is real, how on earth did it actually stay in the air? The first physical puzzle we must face is energy. How does an organism of this size sustain flight? Ancient texts claim that when a dragon appears, it is accompanied by divine light. You might think that's just for show, a little bit of divine peacocking, but in the eyes of a biologist, that light is a sign of high-efficiency charging. A dragon's scales are not made of simple bone. They are a layer of crystallized photoelectric cells, essentially biological photovoltaic panels. Each scale is structured to capture intense UV radiation at high altitudes. Beneath the scales lies a layer of xanthopteran crystals, which convert sunlight directly into bioelectric energy. This explains why the dragon is always seen at the head but never the tail, hiding above the cloud layer. It wasn't hiding from you. It was just basking. It spent its days in the unfiltered radiation of the upper atmosphere, absorbing massive amounts of energy to power its flight. The so-called divine light was just the physical diffraction of light as the scales reached peak energy saturation. Basically, the dragon didn't need to hunt for lunch. It was a solar-powered titan, which means, on a rainy day, it probably had some serious range anxiety. But even with all that power, flying at supersonic speeds through a thundercloud is a death wish. Unless you have the world's most advanced radar system. Those 2 long, flowing whiskers, they aren't just for looking wise in ancient paintings. They are actually the pinnacle of evolution, biological phased array antennas. Inside each whisker is a dense network of electrosensory nerve endings and magnetite crystals. This allows the dragon to sense the Earth's geomagnetic field lines as clearly as we see a highway. It doesn't just feel the wind, it perceives the subtle electromagnetic distortions caused by approaching objects. In the dragon's brain, these signals are synthesized in real time into an all-weather, 3D high-definition topographic map. Even in a total whiteout blizzard, its navigation precision was absolute. It wasn't just flying, it was surfing on the invisible currents of the planet's magnetic field. Think of it this way, even without eyes, a dragon could navigate the Himalayas better than a Tesla on a clear road, which brings us to the most dangerous part of this machine, its weapon system. Legends say the dragon controls thunder and commands the rain. Ancient people called this divine power, but in the eyes of modern physics, this is purely high-voltage arcs piercing through the air. Dragons don't produce lightning. Dragons are just nature's plasma porters. I know. It sounds cooler to say it's magic, but the biology is even wilder. Deep within the dragon's chest lies a specialized electrical organ similar to a super-electric eel. This biological capacitor stores the massive energy harvested by those photovoltaic scales. When threatened, the dragon compresses this bioelectricity into its oral cavity, which is lined with conductive enamel-coated plates. The moment this charge leaves the mouth, it ionizes the surrounding air molecules instantly, creating a stream of plasma. To an ancient observer, this was the fire of the gods. So why has such a precision creature disappeared today? Why aren't they clogging up our flight paths? Perhaps it never truly disappeared, but simply entered a state of hibernation or standby. The modern world is too loud, both acoustically and electromagnetically. As Earth's oxygen levels dropped and the magnetic poles shifted, this system, which relied on a pristine high-energy environment, was forced to shut down to preserve its core. The fall of 1934 was perhaps the last time this ancient machine attempted to reboot. A desperate struggle to find a stable magnetic current in a world that had become too noisy for it to survive. But the dragon has transformed. It moved from the sky into our culture and into our bloodline. Whenever we call ourselves descendants of the dragon, perhaps it is not just a poetic title, perhaps it is a long-dormant gene within us, resonating silently across time with that epic era of biological perfection.